Imagine waking in the dead of night, heart racing, with a vision so vivid that it feels real, only to watch it unfold before your very eyes days, months, or even years later. What if your dreams could warn you of what's coming? What if your nightmares aren't just in our heads, they're roadmaps? These are 10 terrifying dreams that predicted the future. Ryo Tatsuki's manga vision of a July catastrophe. Ryo Tatsuki, a Japanese manga artist who's kept a diary of her dreams since the 1980s, published a work titled The Future I Saw, originally in 1999, reissued with additional content in 2021. In her dreams, Tatsuki described in ominous detail a real disaster to occur in July of 25. The imagery involved a fissure opening under the sea, reportedly along the Philippine Sea Trench or fault zones, leading to a tsunami 3 times larger than that of the earthquake and tsunami of 2011. She also spoke of dragon-like shapes approaching the affected regions, and dramatic language like Japan disappears from the map. As the date drew nearer, social media in East Asia lit up. Some travelers canceled Japanese trips, hotels saw declining bookings, flights out of certain airports were cut. Japanese meteorological agency and seismologists warned that earthquake predictions are not currently possible and that many parts of Tatsuki's description don't align with known geological data. Still, this dream has sparked intense debate about whether she foresaw something or merely tapped into collective fears. The reaction, economic and social, has been real, even if the predicted disaster has not been verified. The Aberfan disaster in Kathleen Middleton's premonitions. On October 21, 1966, a catastrophic collapse of coal waste in Aberfan, Wales resulted in 144 souls being lost. In the period prior, Kathleen Lorna Middleton claimed to have powerful dreams and premonitions involving the collapse. She awoke with overwhelming dread, feeling like walls were caving in, choking, gasping, and shared her forebodings. After the disaster, she reached out repeatedly to newspapers. Similarly, in March of 1968, she had a vivid dream about the assassination of Robert F. Kennedy, expressing urgency and associating the word assassination with his name. Kennedy was killed in early July of that year. These are among the most often cited historical examples of dreams that seem to foretell tragic events. Middleton's case formed part of what later became known as reports collected by the British Premonitions Bureau. Abraham Lincoln's funeral dream. President Abraham Lincoln reportedly dreamed several times that he would pass. In one recurring dream, he thought that he was in the East Room of the White House, found a coffin, asked who had died, and was told the president. According to his law partner and friend, Ward Hill Lamon, Lincoln recounted his dream before his assassination in April of 1865. On the night before the fatal Ford's Theater showing, Lincoln stayed at a house where friends reported he was more subdued than usual. The dream's imagery, despite being vague, has fascinated historians and ghost story enthusiasts. Whether Lincoln interpreted it as a warning or omen, it remains one of the most famous prophetic dreams in US history. Mark Ruffalo's precognitive health dream. In 2025, actor Mark Ruffalo repeatedly experienced a vivid dream that later led to medical discovery. He dreamed of symptoms or warning signs that caused him to get checked, which revealed a brain tumor. This case is often cited in articles about patients who have dreams that revealed shocking health revelations. The detail is unnervingly exact. The dream's tone was alarmingly physical rather than symbolic. Ruffalo said to have woken up with a strong feeling that something was wrong, enough to prompt medical testing. According to MD Links, this kind of dreaming, where the dreamer perceives bodily or neurological symptoms, is rare but documented. The case adds weight to the idea that some dreams might anticipate illness, not just external disasters or tragedies. However, as with many of these stories, medical verification beyond Ruffalo's own disclosure is limited in public sources. The uncertainty around exactly how the dream translated to medical action, how soon, what prompted the check, what type of tumor, etc., means we can't say that this is a perfect prediction, but the implications are chilling. Biblical Joseph's prophetic dreams. In the book of Genesis, Joseph, son of Jacob, had several dreams that seemed to predict future events. One of his most famous dreams was that his sheaf of grain would stand upright and that his brother's sheaves would bow to his. Another that the sun, moon, and 11 stars would bow to him. These dreams, dating back to approximately 17th to 16th centuries BC, depending on scholarly estimates, marked Joseph as someone with prophetic insight. He later interprets the Pharaoh's dream about 7 years of plenty followed by 7 years of famine, saving Egypt from catastrophe. Whether taken literally, metaphorically, or spiritually, these stories continue to be among the oldest recorded events of dreams predicting future events. Premonitions around the Titanic disaster. In the lead up to the sinking of the RMS Titanic in April 1912, there were reports of dreams. Passengers and non-passengers alike claimed to have dreamed of the ship's disaster, visions of huge ships sinking, of cold water flooding in, of people struggling in the ocean. Some of these dreams were written or spoken of in advance. Others were recalled in hindsight. While specifics are often vague, the volume and consistency of the reports contributed to Titanic's mythos, haunted by premonition. Whether coincidence, collective anxiety, or true precognitive insight, this is one of the most enduring legend-type cases of predictive dreaming in modern lore. Dreams before World War I. British aeronautics engineer and author J.W. Dunne from 1875 to 1949 wrote about dreams that he believed predicted future events in his book An Experiment with Time, published in 1927. Dunne kept dream diaries for many years, then looked back to see which dreams corresponded to later events. He claimed that roughly 10% of his dreams showed some sort of temporal overlap, dream elements that later became reality. For example, he dreamt about conversations, events, and settings that later came true, down to small details. Critics have pointed out that many of these were ambiguous or changed in memory, but some were likely influenced by subconscious cues. Still, his works remain influential among those interested in precognitive dreams because it attempted systematic documentation. Edgar Case's night vision of cataclysms. Edgar Case, from 1877 to 1945, often called the Sleeping Prophet, claimed to receive prophetic visions in dreams or trance states. He foretold events such as seismic activity, world wars, and shifts in nature. One frequently cited prediction was that of shifting of the polar ice caps and changes in Earth's magnetic field, visions that Case said that he saw in dreams in the early 20th century. Another is his prediction of a great disaster in 1937, the failure to define exactly what it was, but which his followers later connected to things like the Japanese invasion of China, the lead up to World War II, or regional disasters. His methods often involve combining dream imagery with spiritual interpretation, and skeptics argue that many of his predictions are so vague to allow many possible outcomes, so who knows. David Booth's dream of American Airlines. David Booth was a man from Cincinnati who, in May of 1979, began having the same nightmare every single night for 10 nights straight. In the dream, he saw a large American Airlines jet lifting off the runway, losing control, rolling onto its side, and crashing in a fireball near the airport. He described the plane as a DC-10 type aircraft, long before the public knew that there were mechanical issues associated with that model. The nightmare was so vivid and so repetitive that Booth contacted the Federal Aviation Administration on May 24th of 1979 to report it. According to later FAA records and interviews, Booth was taken seriously enough to be questioned about any potential threats or inside knowledge, but he had none, just the same horrifying dream playing on repeat. The next day, on May 25, 1979, American Airlines Flight 191, a DC-10, took off from O'Hare International Airport in Chicago. Seconds after liftoff, the left engine tore loose, flipped over the wing, and several critical hydraulic systems, causing the plane to roll violently and crash exactly in the manner Booth had described. All 271 lives on board were lost, as well as 2 people on the ground, making it the deadliest aviation disaster on US soil. When investigators compared Booth's description to the cockpit voice recorder and eyewitness accounts, it was similarly disturbing. He had seen the exact sequence: the roll, the left bank, the powerless dip, and the fiery impact shortly after takeoff. Though skeptics argue coincidence or subconscious awareness, the FAA's documentation that Booth reported his dream before the crash makes it one of the most compelling real-world premonition cases on record. The Christine Clowley Health Premonition. Christine Clowley, a counselor and writer in Colorado, has for decades kept a detailed dream journal. In 2024, she shared accounts of recurring dreams that appeared to foreshadow serious health crises. One vivid recurring nightmare had her trying to remove a cyst from her throat. Shortly after, a cyst developed which burst, triggering a severe infection. Crawley later learned it was a dangerous throat infection that led to respiratory failure, lung collapse, and even septic shock, putting her in a medically induced coma with a very small chance of survival. Crawley later reported dreams in later years about a polyp on her vocal cords that was surgically scheduled for removal, but astonishingly, one day before the operation, she dreamt of coughing it up, and then did so, avoiding surgery. She also dreamed years ahead about contracting Lyme disease via a tick bite on the back of her head, and later she was diagnosed with chronic Lyme disease. These aren't vague dreams, they had specific physical symptoms, locations, timing, and sometimes even medical interventions or outcomes. So what do these dreams teach us? Maybe that our minds are far stranger than we think. But let me know which one of these you found most fascinating, leave a like on this video, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.